First of all, we're going to check out the starting lineups. On the blue side today is Gambit, with Darian in the top lane, Diamond in the jungle, Nick in the mid lane, the AD carry Genja, and Edward the support.
And of course, on the red side, it is the Copenhagen Wolves, with Youngbuck up top, Airwax in the jungle, Counthard playing the mid lane, Woolite on AD carry, and Unlimited playing the support role.
So, as the players then prepare to head into Champion Select, let's check out your votes. According to the numbers, you picked Gambit, not surprisingly, by 77%.
They looked pretty good yesterday. Their early and mid game was solid, and unfortunately, the composition against the Super Hot crew just got somewhat outscaled. I want to see if Nick is going to be allowed to play Karthus again, because he did a great job yesterday, and Nidalee's not available in 4.10, which was Nick's go-to champion. So that's where my focus should be. Also, whether or not we're going to see Darian getting his hands back on the likes of Aatrox. It is a champion he likes to play, has played numerous times in the past. So some interesting picks that can come from the side of Gambit.
Also looking forward to seeing what the AD carries go for. Of course, I mean, it's Genja, possibly the weirdest AD carry in the world if you look at how he decides to build. And even we come back into 4.10 now, makes it even more interesting to look at it against Woolite, who himself yesterday, as you mentioned already, picking up the Ashe. Well, let's have a look here where the bans come down. Actually, an Irelia ban aimed at Youngbuck. His fantastic performance against Alliance in London, obviously earning him that one. First ban for the red side will be Kassadin. No real shocks on that one. And it looks like Gambit actually going to focus towards Airwax, who's played brilliant on Lee Sin.
And yesterday, Edward returned to Thresh once again, and he had a very good game. I would argue it was the second best Thresh of the day. Yellowstar really took home the honors of the best, in my opinion, but you can't deny the fact that Edward was playing a very good support role. And it's a champion that he's somewhat avoided. You know, he hasn't gone back to it for whatever reason. But definitely both of these teams taking their time. Lucian is still up and available, as is Caitlyn, which is something Genja has also trending towards in the past, and I just noticed has been banned out. Thank you for pointing that out, Joe.
To be fair, it is a 0% ban rate so far, so you could be forgiven for expecting maybe Caitlyn wouldn't be banned in this game.
I'm blaming my notebook. It was covered by my notebook, Joe.
And that's going to be taken away then from Genja. And now it's funny because when the AD carries of the LCS basically stopped playing Caitlyn, that's when Genja said, you know what, I'm going to start playing Caitlyn now. And now that she's come back into Fortunes, that's going to be banned away. Ziggs also removed from Counthard in the mid lane, always been a solid ban, I think, against the Wolves.
Twisted Fate is a champion that we could see them going towards. We've seen it first picked earlier today and in the past. We've also seen Skarner run by Diamond Prox in the spring split, and we've just seen a Rengar, and we've seen Rengar over in OGN a few times today. I wonder if any of those champions are considerations, but the next question is, does Woolite want to go for Ashe as well? Because Lucian's banned out from the Wolves.
I was just about to say, or I didn't say Kayle. Kayle left completely open here in this one. See if it's a case of the Copenhagen Wolves wanting to kind of let one strong champion through, take two of their own. They actually go for the Twitch, which has been a regular pick for Woolite, and Airwax will be taking Evelyn in the jungle after Lee Sin was banned.
Okay, so if I were Gambit, I would throw Kayle to Darian. Let him do his mid lane Kayle thing that he's done many times in the past. I would also consider a Twisted Fate even more heavily, because you can negate all of the power of the stealth from Twitch and from Evelyn if you go that route. So there's options here for Gambit. The only thing Gambit need to be aware of is just how heavy and how scary the pick power is from the Wolves, and how quickly they locked those two champions in, because there was no hesitation from them in terms of those two picks.
So for Gambit, Nick's gone through 2 or 3 different AD carries, let's call them. Tristana, we've thought, may make a reappearance. Vayne, another champion that we've been speculating about as well. But I think the Thresh pickup for Edward, considering his real return to form yesterday, would be a good one. They do lock that in, and they're going to take Jax. So that's going to be a mid-lane Kayle here for Nick. Again, a champion that he was already playing in that mid lane, and they'll take Jax in the top lane for Darian. I tell you what, that's 3 scary picks, especially if you look at the likes of Kayle and Jax towards the late game.
And that's something that Gambit was struggling with yesterday. Gambit's composition yesterday was outscaled and was put under pressure. With the Jax top lane, if Youngbuck wanted to run something like a Renekton, that could help him get some lane dominance, especially if he gets that one-on-one scenario. He did also run Renekton yesterday. It would also allow them to go for some sort of pick combo. Get the stun down for Renekton, allow Evelyn or Twitch to combo with the rest of the team. but I wouldn't be surprised to see if Gambit wanted to try force a 2v1 scenario or something along those lines. So a lot of options for the Wolves, and for the time being they're going with a potential Lulu top, which may end up being like a Protect the Twitch style comp, which is somewhat different than I was expecting.
Yeah, and Kautoud seemed a little shocked there towards the end of picks. He was kind of like hammering away on his keyboard.
Yasuo mid could be a thing. Every time Unlimited or most of the times Unlimited run Zyra in the past, it has been with the Yasuo, and while Kautoud's Yasuo is pretty solid, they've been unable to string together wins. They did a decent job against Alliance many weeks ago, but my instinct with 2 knockups is this has to be Yasuo mid.
Oh, look at this then. Corki going to be picked up to be played in the AD carry role for Genja, and they will take Elise for the jungle for Diamond. Played a 6-4-12 game yesterday against the super hot crew in that victory. We'll see if he can bring that form here again today. And now, I think the more interesting part, what are the Copenhagen Wolves planning with this lineup?
We will see what they lock in, but my instinct is that it's going to be... Oh, is this a Zyra mid lane now? Okay, we'll see in that in a second. What Gambit have put together is a lot of mixed damage. Kayle, Jax, and Corki are going to do a lot of both physical and magic damage. And you've got armor shred from Corki, you've got the percentage reduction from Kayle's passive as well. So all of the damage they're going to be dealing will be very difficult to itemize against and prioritize. But for both Jax and Kayle, there is a long time between them starting and then becoming terrifying. So Gambit can't afford to fall behind early. They do have the supplement of having a Thresh Elise, so it allows them to find picks and find kills early on, which may play into their favor. But again, the lane matchups are going to be incredibly interesting. I don't know why I said it's going to be mid lane Lulu. I just had a complete brain fart a second ago.
It's okay. We have seen Kautoud play Zyra in the past, so that may have thrown you off there a little bit. Youngbuck, of course, going back to his old trusty Renekton for that top lane matchup against Darien, or maybe not, depending on how those lane swaps come in. But Twitch Zyra going to be the lane here for the Copenhagen Wolves.
I don't see much damage on the Wolves side. Renekton's going to fall off. If Evelyn builds tank, which is what I'm somewhat expecting, Lulu takes a long time to hit a damage spike. You no longer get 2 Glitter Lancers off. So if the Copenhagen Wolves are unable to protect Woolite in these team fights, they're going to be in a massive amount of trouble. They do have peel from both Lulu and from Zyra, but Copenhagen Wolves have gone all in this hold the line and keep Woolite alive. And I do think it is very risky for them. They do have strong power in the early game with Renekton, with Twitch, even though he's been hit in the laning phase, can combo very well. But I do think the rest of the comp is fairly low on total damage.
See how the Corki does as well in the hands of Genja. Well, guys, with these particular picks in there, do you still think that Gambit have got what it takes to win this game? Tweet to @LOL Esports with the hashtag GMB win or CW win. We'll see if you guys change your mind. 72%, if I'm not mistaken, it was just previous to the game. In the 70s, 77, I think it actually was. So possible little switch around for this one, but I think considering form, the Wolves only picked up 2 wins out of 13 so far. Number 1, they're not looking great. Number 2, they really need from somewhere these wins, because you start getting to the territory where it's almost impossible to be climbing up without going on a massive win streak.
Yeah, I completely agree. And when you look at this team comp, you do feel the later this game goes, the better Gambit's opportunities will be. Keep in mind, though, that as the game continues to progress, Woolite will eventually outscale Genja, which is great, but Woolite also needs to get through both Darien and Nick in that role. And we need to see how well the Copenhagen Wolves handle their opponents, because yesterday they were pushed around quite significantly.
Well, we're going to find out here as we get into game between Gambit and the Copenhagen Wolves. Will we be seeing anything interesting at level 1? We've actually seen the pink ward picked up there for Diamond, who at the same time also forgot to get his trinket.
Yeah, trinket not necessary for this moment in time. That may also mitigate any sort of team-based invade. You can see that Darien is moving very aggressively, going to get his trinket ward down in the red buff area of the Copenhagen Wolves.
30 seconds until minions
and luckily, all of the Wolves ran over a ward, so Gambit completely aware of their opponent's positioning. We've also seen Gambit actually go for these sort of fights. If they're aware of where their opponent's positions are, they're not afraid to challenge. And look at Darien, they may consider moving in. We'll have to see.
Well, waiting off to the side here. Diamond coming back out of the base with his trinket ward in there, but the Wolves all going to be walking over that ramp ward, and that will signal to Gambit. Okay, the Wolves backing out of this one. Are we going to see a standard start for them? Diamond in the tri-bush, so they may go a little bit later and do some harassment onto the blue buff start. Or they may just settle in and say, okay, we're just going to have the red and be done with that one. We'll see in a second. It actually does look like we'll have the junglers very much solo, at least for now, starting off their blue and their red buffs.
So the Copenhagen Wolves mirror Fnatic strategy from the previous game in terms of invade, drop 3 wards, and look for information on the lane matchups. And with the education or the information that they gathered from the invade, they have opted to initiate that lane swap. So they put their Twitch and Zyra up against Darian's Jax in the top lane. And I'm interested to see if either team's going to go for any sort of tower push early on. But look at the damage onto Darian, just completely zoned away. Also remember, Diamond's got Elise, so early dragons, definitely a strong possibility for Gambit.
What are they thinking here? The Copenhagen Wolves actually going to go maybe for a look at the blue buff. Already secured their owners. Kauton and Nick here having a bit of a level 2 fight in that mid lane. Ward put down by Nick to give him the vision, but this blue buff looking like it will be smited away and taken for the Copenhagen Wolves in this early stage, whilst Airwax already got hit. So that's 2 bluffs, blue buffs right off the start. We could shorten it to bluffs. I'm not sure that's going to catch on in the community though. And then go back to his rough.
So strong start for the Wolves, using the numbers to their advantage. Gambit did not go for a blue buff invade, even though they had Genji and Edward in the tri-bush in the bottom half of the map. And it's more important about, you know, delaying and slowing Diamond down, but they're arriving too late to this bluff, as you were calling it, Joe. I do want to see at what point they start the Dragon. With Elise, it becomes quite easy and efficient to juggle the tower damage from early level dragons. And interesting, Darian already uses his teleport to the minions in the top lane, not to the tower, so it's going to be a longer cooldown. Also, Woolite and Unlimited now moving to the bottom lane. So immediate lane swap, Copenhagen Wolves maybe psyching themselves out.
Yeah, which I think is a risky play up against a Renekton who's going to give you a bit of problems in the early stages. He's going to have the sustain himself, especially with the Doran shield start that Youngbuck has gone for there. So we'll see how Youngbuck decides to play this one. Of course, he's also got Evelyn on his side, so he can come in there without really being detected too much. And we see that Darian pushed quite far up in his lane already, and Airwax is coming around.
Yeah, Darian always goes aggressive at low levels with Jax. It may cost him right now.
Silence is all we need, I think, for this one. Darian too far up the lane. Didn't even bother to use his flash there. As soon as Evelyn appeared, knew that it was going to go down. Nick and Kauton again, though, going to go heavy against each other. Who's coming out on top of this one? Is the hook down bottom also going to catch on towards Unlimited. They've got Elise there. Corky going to Valkyrie in. Great little cocoon as well. And it's finished off by Genja.
Oh, very well played in the bottom lane by Gambit. Mid lane's traded damage. I do want to touch on Darian going Doran's Blade first. He's got 3% lifesteal, and we'll talk about that in a second. Nick is going to get caught.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of damage once again. He flashes, Airwax flashes in as well. Turret hits coming down. The shield from Lulu. No more turret hits coming in as well. And Airwax made 2 appearances in lane and picked up 2 kills for his trouble.
So strong start in terms of picks for Airwax. We'll get to the strategic play in a moment, but I do want to touch on the double Doran start for Darian. He's got no lifesteal in his runes or mastery, so 6%. And it's interesting to see the change because until you hit 100 AD with the 3% lifesteal, you don't get as much life back. No, it's even higher for melees. So it's not an efficient method of sustaining. And I want to see if Diamond's going to come up to help gank and support Darian. Traditionally, starting with the Doran shield will give you more regen at lower levels and also help survive against the damage that Renektons are putting out.
Yeah, and Youngbuck is just going to bully him out of it, surely here once again. We see that TP less than half cooldown coming in as the counter-strike going to be used, and Darian no mana left because he has to use that extra to try and get the farm while he's there and stay safe. He's going to have to recall out of this lane completely, and this is going to allow freebie farming time for Youngbuck.
So this is something that is still very impressive for Darian. He often feeds in games, but he always has decent CS. He was 5 CS behind Youngbuck before being forced out of lane, and the minion wave is not being pushed super heavily. So we need to keep tabs on how Darian does in terms of experience and last hitting, because that's what really matters in terms of the matchup. What was very good is Airwax's early ganks. He managed to get the kill on Darien as well as the flash and the kill on Nick. So if Airwax continues to do that pressure and go for those ganks, it'll work out very well. He's also opted to go Spirit of the Elder Lizard. So he's going to supplement some of the lack of damage from the rest of his team. He's got access to his ultimate, and he's going to go on Genja and Edward.
Oh, they spot Airwax, but he's got his ultimate available. Edward going to flash away, but that means he goes down. We see Genja Valkyrie out of things, and that means another kill for the Copenhagen Wolves. This time to AD carry as Darien comes back in lane. We can see Youngbuck already diving on him, and I think this is the strategy here for Darien. Come to lane, use all your mana to get as much farm and pressure as you can. Recall, come back to the lane and do it all over again till that teleport comes up.
With all of the minions... Oh, that was close. Tiny bit slow there, Youngbuck. But with all of the minions that were fighting with Darien in the top lane, Youngbuck actually didn't really want to stick around. And you highlighted the strategy from Darien. He's often given up CS for slightly different plays in the past. When he was playing Kayle for Gambit, he did that duo mid lane strategy to try and shut down Froggen a few weeks ago, and it was actually against the Copenhagen Wolves where he did it the very first time, even earlier than that. But he is starting to struggle. 20 CS down, Youngbuck's got himself a Vamp Scepter, and he continues to put authority in the top lane. Gambit are also losing the middle lane. Coutard, with the help of Airwax, have put Nick onto the defensive foot. So Copenhagen Wolves, with their strong early game comp, have got an early game lead.
So let's see now, Darien has gone back towards that top lane. We see the Airwax, who was able to steal away the first blue buff of the game for the Copenhagen Wolves, will be moving in here this time though. It's already gone, but had to be smited by Diamond. No, that is completely alive.
It was smited by Airwax and then lost auto attack by Nick.
Okay.
So
that's where the confusion came in, because I saw the blue buff go with the smite. Diamond, it wasn't the smite in it, but it still goes over to Gambit, which is the important thing from their side.
Yeah, one auto attack too early for the side of Airwax. And, you know, very, very good start for him. He's been extremely present in the standard lanes. He was able to punish top and obviously punish middle. But now we need to see how he plays it. Look at that hook from Edward.
Max Ranger actually going to go for this one here. Good plants down from Unlimited. Will actually slow the progression. And look, Coutard now coming down towards his bottom lane. Gonna spot Edward completely on his own. But Coutard might actually be in trouble. They've got Nick. They've got Diamond coming in. They choose to bring Nick in with the lance. And there's the hook on towards Coutard. His wild gun's going to not help him enough. And that will be Genja getting his second kill of the game.
Very, very strong play from Edward. He pulled Thresh out yesterday, landed a lot of good hooks, and he's doing it again in this matchup. This is helping Genja maintain his CS advantage, and with the assist on Nick, it's going to help him out to make up that CS deficit that he's currently struggling with. If Gambit can continue to string together kills like this and delay Copenhagen Wolf pulling ahead, their composition can do very well at scaling and do very well, especially if they want to try play split push, play the lanes, because Jackson Kayle can do that incredibly well.
And that's why we've got a little bit of time here. Take a bit to talk and look at Darien specifically, because went back a couple of times here, picked himself now up a chain vest. Those boots going to come in handy when you have to run back to your lane every single time. Also taking as much as he can from the jungle when he goes through there as well, waiting now for Youngbuck to actually push things up onto his turret. And with all that, he's lost about 35 CS. However, look at this, the Copenhagen Wolves now grouping up around the Dragon. Gambit aren't anywhere near this.
This is a surprise. You know, Gambit initially had the numbers advantage. They were the ones that had their AD carrying support bottom. And with the number of ganks that Diamond has put, that Airwax has put on the bottom lane, it's applied so much pressure that the moment Gambit had backed away, Copenhagen Wolves have taken advantage of it. Unlike yesterday, the Wolves have picked a time to go for Dragon with a comp that can do it in the early stages. Gambit don't really want to look for the big team fights around Dragon because their comp will just simply be weaker without all of the items. Darien continues this aggressive top lane. He's even thrown his ulti down.
Throwing his ulti, and that's because Diamond's actually coming in there as well, although maybe a little bit early to put the aggression onto Youngbuck. And that means that Diamond won't actually be there to get a kill for them. However, they might be able to free up a little bit of time in that top lane. Airwax actually doing a similar thing, going to try and come across the cover. But again, Darien burnt through all his mana. With that one, he's going to have to recall. Does have TP back up, and with that Dragon going down, we'll see if he actually goes up towards the top lane. Although I'm not sure that Gambit really realized just yet.
Yeah, I wish I had been counting how many times Darien has recalled. Unlimited even blocks the death sentence by a very smart usage of the plants. And you know, Zyra as a support, we are seeing him more and more, but I do want to highlight that there's a difference in AD carry items after this fight in the mid lane.
Oh, Kaltard going to take a lot of damage, puts the polymorph back down, and Nick not wanting to go too deep on that one. No Ignite to really finish off. Wild Growth and the Ignite were both available here for Kaltard, and Darian has now been spotted. He needs to be really careful there.
Yeah, Nick with the early Berserker's Greaves also going to allow him to be more mobile and potentially go for those backs. They've hooked Unlimited!
They've hooked Unlimited, he comes into the box. I can't see him getting away. We'll actually use the flash there. Woolite trying to turn it around on towards Genja, but there's a lot of damage back onto him. Genja decides to back away with the poison going as Diamond comes around. Can he get under the turret for this one? He's not going to try. But Woolite on Unlimited using pretty much everything. In fact, they did use everything there to stay alive. In the end, that's probably going to cost them the tower.
It does look to be the case. Diamond decides not to flash forward, and Genja with the summoner heal is able to survive the poison. But Dragon is not there yet. Yeah. It was secured by the Wolves. So Gambit, unfortunate to not pick up a kill. We do see them at least pushing Woolite and Unlimited away. But you have to give props to both Edward for the Death Sentence, Flay Box, everything. And the same can be said for Unlimited. He put the Stranglethorns down. He mitigated all of the damage that could be put out. Now, drama's not over yet as Airwax is coming from behind. They've got Woolite!
Oh, they got Woolite. This could cost him his life. This time, no summoners available to keep him alive. And actually, Genja taking the Lantern. I thought they were going to keep going on to Unlimited. They decided to stay in that lane with the wave pushing up against them. It's going to cost them another kill. Genja at 3-0-0. Dangerous territory.
Deficio would call that a sneaky play. And with the kills that Genja's worked towards, he's going to accelerate the rate at which he gets his Trinity Force. Yesterday, we seen a Corki, Trinity Force, and Blade of the Ruined King. So we need to see how Genja decides to itemize, because obviously with the changes to Bloodthirster, significantly less ideal, because you don't have all that bonus attack damage or the burst on Corki.
I'd actually argue that it wasn't even sneaky, that play. There was a red ward in the tribush that Edward walked right over the top of. And then he snuck around the side. I mean, they just done all that damage to them. Were they really going to back away once they realized that that dragon wasn't there? Either way, it doesn't matter, because Darian here is going to be possibly out of position. We'll use a flash, though, to get back behind his turret. But again, ultimate use, flash use, and that teleport as well. Kaltard had started to come up towards his top lane, but there's not really going to be anything for Darian to do about that tower. Kaltard's going to come over and try and hold on to his mid one, though.
The thing is, with all of the pressure that Airwax has put in that top lane, it has meant that the bottom lane is going in favor of Genja and Edward. The ganks have been slightly more effective. Yes, Airwax ganks have been strong, but they haven't been getting them map presence for the time being. Gambit have got a lot of damage onto that middle and bottom tower. So if and when Gambit decide to focus the objectives down, they will actually accelerate ahead of the Copenhagen Wolves in gold. But the problem is, or the thought process for the time being, has not been that. They seem content to continue farming, try buy some more time for Darian to be relevant. And if you look at just the matchup, that's a Chain Vest and a Phage against a Blade of the Ruined King. Youngbuck is going to decimate people once he's above 50 Rage, or Fury rather, and uses that Empowered W. 3 strikes, 3 times 8% current health. That's going to hurt a lot.
And Airwax is now stalking Darian. Actually, technically, he's being stalked by him. Darian won't know that one, and Darian actually decided to put down his Trinket Ward and jump away to safety. And you have to feel for him, has been focused a lot in this top lane up until now. But look at this, Gambit actually invading on the enemy blue buff. Will take it. However, they are going to be getting the turret as well at the same time. So overall, really nicely working out as Woolite going to get Cocoon. The hook had already come out. And there was the stealth coming in. Actually, Unlimited gone very deep on this one. He did put down the Stranglethorns. Youngbuck going to teleport in at the bottom side. They get the kill there onto Unlimited. And Edward will also fall down. Can they now get in towards Genja? No real big CC to help that out. And Diamond is actually on top of that ward that I was talking about there before. Turret, of course, did die. Now Airwax has been spotted out by Nick. There is Diamond diving in. Youngbuck going to stun him up. This is a lot of damage and a kill for Youngbuck.
That was a great flash from Youngbuck. There was a near point-blank Cocoon that he just anticipated, and once Diamond started the spell animation, he hopped straight over it. Got the kill. Thanks to the kills and the usage of teleport at the right time, Copenhagen Wolves will have access to the second dragon of the game. They will, however, be losing their top lane turret if they stick around, because Darian has had a lot of time to melt that one through, and it should be falling. It does just fall. So kills plus dragon in reply for a tower, and Gambit have evened up the gold until, of course, this objective goes down.
There's a ward there, but are they going to be able to get into range? It might have to be Genja with a stray rocket that finishes off this dragon if Gambit are going to fight for it. They're not going to fight for it. The hook came through, actually landed onto the plant there that was put down next to the dragon, and the Copenhagen Wolves take their second dragon of the game. Wow,
Genja's completely solo, pushing into enemy territory. 4-0, Trinity Force no boots, and effective gold is 1,000 over Woolite, thanks of course to a massive CS advantage. And he's sitting on 1,600 gold. So I'd like to see if maybe Genja decides to opt for an Infinity Edge as his next item. Just relying on the 6% lifesteal from Doran's. Of course, Genja, you can never predict his itemization in game. And the Wolves have done well. The Wolves have created good opportunities and they've established dragon control. But because they've lost all of their outer turrets, they're not very far ahead on gold. And when you consider the Gambit are going to begin outscaling them as we get another sort of 5, 6, 7 minutes into the game and further, Wolves need to do more and they need to get more map presence in order to afford opportunities to shut Gambit out.
Surely going to start out squeezing them on the map as well with those turrets down, getting vision in the enemy jungle. In fact, we see Diamond doing just that here as he puts a ward down by the Wraith camp on the red side of the Copenhagen, the red buff side, of course, of the Copenhagen Wolves jungle. Bottom side of the map, though, the Copenhagen Wolves still have a decent control, and although Airwax here has gone over a pink ward, Flay gonna land, that'll bring him out, and he flashes away.
Instant flash. Airwax did not want to get caught out, and another good position from Edward. Opens with the Flay, looking to get some CC down. Now the thing is, Copenhagen Wolves have got a team comp that needs to be playing, you know, sort of flanking. Twitch wants to surprise people. Evelyn wants to surprise. And while Gambit are struggling to, or surprised, or reacting to Copenhagen Wolves engage, then Unlimited can run amok with his Grasping Roots, with his Stranglethorns. If Gambit ever get into the backline of the Wolves, it's very difficult for them to get away. Once that Stranglethorns is down, there's not enough protection for Woolite, and Woolite, he wants to hunt Genja.
Gonna have a go at him with that play to the Ruin King. Instant Valkyrie away. The rat-a-tat-tat coming out, and actually Edward there will force a flash from Woolite. The man being aggressive in that scenario. There was also a summoner heal used by Genja, so 1 for 1 on that, although you'd rather, I think, use the summoner heal than a flash any day.
Completely agree. A little bit of miscommunication between Genja and Edward as well, because you've seen the Lantern going down, which may have gotten Genja even further to safety. Regardless, Nick and Coutard going at it.
All very, very slow after that one, kind of crawling away from each other. And what's actually coming around may just interrupt Nick here, trying to push away. And in the meantime, Youngbuck has taken finally this outer turret in the top lane. Funnily enough, that's the first turret for the Copenhagen Wolves this game.
None of the other lanes have really been pushing to the turret.
No.
I mean, Woolite and Unlimited have been dealing with Genja and Edward in terms of pressure under their turrets. Coutard and Nick have got very good wave clear, and they've just been pushing back and forth. Edward, he's going to wind up. Let's see if he connects. No, he doesn't.
Nice little sidestep by Coutard. And I mean, you kind of, not exactly a 50-50, but you go left or right in that scenario and hope that Edward is not trying to predict where you're going to go with that one. Meanwhile, there's a little bit of a fight here off to the side. There is some good damage out from Genja.
That was a big one from Genja. On his rockets, every 4th one will deal bonus damage, plus the Phosphorus Bomb. Just shredded, you know, 30% of Woolite's HP. But what you are noticing from the Copenhagen Wolves is they're starting to group. With the top tower down and teleport almost available for Youngbuck, it feels like the Wolves are now trying to group up, get vision, and maybe force objectives. Maybe try to take advantage of their team comp in certain areas. Because of the power of Spray, Rat-a-tat-tat, as well as Stranglethorns, as well as even Agony's Embrace, if the Wolves can force Gambit into some tight corridors, maybe the jungle, maybe the Dragon Pit, it allows them to amplify all of their sort of AoE abilities and AoE damage. So for Gambit, it's very important not to death ball in a single location, because they do run the risk of getting hit by all of those AoE spells.
I'm interested for this next dragon fight as well that's coming up. We see finally a Trinity Force has been completed by Darien. It's been a long, arduous road to actually getting up there and getting that first major item in. Still a good chunk of CS behind that of Youngbuck. who's quite frankly been alone really on his island, apart from when he's TP'd in to those fights down by the Dragon. Look at this, Gambit already starting to get those deeper wards in that the Copenhagen Wolves can't really get away from because they've lost those turrets. Airwax is waiting for the rest of his team to actually get into position here, but Gambit waiting inside of that brush. Genja's safe.
Yeah, Genja manages to get away. The rest of Gambit can respond, and they've started the fight.
Oh, here comes the teleport down as well. Actually, the Wild Growth was used very early. Stranglethorn's coming out, but Darian dives into the middle of them. Won't quite finish off Unlimited, who went very low. Edward surely will fall. Youngbuck gets that one. Darian has to flash away, but the Copenhagen Wolves are going to keep going. They managed to get that one as well. It's Airwax that goes on the killing spree. That's a 2 for nothing, and at least an outer turret.
Yeah, but look at Nick. He's been left uncontested at the bottom lane. They may be trading turrets. The rest of Copenhagen Wolves have decided to back away. 2 plus a tower, and Nick, let's see if he can actually secure this objective. It looks like he will be able to. Can Gambit contest the Dragon? They've got their jungler, but he's low on HP, and he has no smites available, so they may be losing the Dragon as well.
It's a lot of attack speed already for Nick. He starts his recall, stops his recall, starts it again, and actually Airwax, I don't think he can 1v1 him here. The rest of the team are finally coming around. There's an intervention.
Was
an intervention, didn't use it.
Stunned up because of the fact that Youngbuck landed the CC before Nick could even get that out. He just gets melted. Diamond almost available with Smite. I think it's not even going to come off cooldown before Dragon goes out. The Copenhagen Wolves, they're sticking around.
The damage that they've done though, there might be enough of them. There's a Wild Growth coming on towards Youngbuck. Genja running amok at the back, and there's the rest of the team. Darian going to start diving in. Light will be the next target as the Valkyrie comes over. He gets another one. Youngbuck's on top of a wall, and he gets it with the hook through the wall there at the end. It leaves Genja unstoppable. 3 men down as well for the Copenhagen Wolves.
5-0-1. We have to tally up everything in a moment, but this is very risky. Gambit engage 3 versus 5, and even though Darian does join for cleanup duty at the end, there was always going to be casualties. What it does mean is Gambit lose the Dragon, they lost the inner turret, and they managed to get a kill. But you're noticing on the picture-in-picture, this is going to be a Baron. So net gain is completely worth it for Gambit. They come away with the Baron. This isn't going to be stolen. It shouldn't be stolen by Unlimited. Very, very small play. Can Darian get away with his life? That's the question.
Stranglethorn's coming out there as well, and Darian knocked up, but not the damage, of course, from that support Zyra, although he has got Leandri's Torment at this stage. We should probably notice that, so those plants actually do a little bit of damage in there as well. Either way, it's the first Baron of the game going over to Gambit, but the Copenhagen Wolves still have a gold lead, still have kill lead, but Gambit are starting to get to that position now where they really have ramped up, and we see Hurricane added into that Nashor's Tooth. Of course, Darian's going to be getting stronger as we go along as well.
The whole Gambit comp is going to continue to get stronger, and the thing that we noticed is that whole Dragon Tower play I initially thought was quite bad, but because Gambit were able to secure the kills, they had calculated if we can get Kayle and Jax to get out of this one and get to the Baron, this should be a fairly safe Baron, which it was. They secured it, they didn't lose any members as Copenhagen Wolves were responding. Keep in mind that Jax, Kayle, Elise, Corki are going to keep ramping up, and in terms of items, Diamond has gone full support. He's gone, Spirit of the Ancient Golem plus Aegis of the Legion. We've seen another support Zyra rushing Leandri's Torment. And Edward, he's also working himself towards that Randian's Omen. So you've got a lot of tankiness being built up along with the damage amplification that Gambit already has. So Copenhagen Wolves, while they're 1,500 gold ahead, I feel like they need more gold than that in the lead to stay relevant against this composition of Gambit.
Other items coming in, Infinity Edge for Genja, and I mentioned at the start of the game that Genja carried the Gambit team to their last win against the Copenhagen Wolves, and it's not looking like it could be a different story this time around. 5-0-1 for him. Gambit now move up onto that inner turret in the mid lane. Lot of poke, dangerous poke at that, going to come out from Genja.
Yeah, and notice the importance of that Frozen Heart for Youngbuck. There are so many members of Gambit's team that rely on auto attacks. We'll see how effective that is. The rest of Gambit, they're forcing the tower down. Stranglethorn's not available for Unlimited.
Airwax coming around the side. Youngbuck going to go into the middle of them as well there with a Wild Growth on it, but he's been absolutely destroyed. Nick will have to flash out to 1 for nothing there for Gambit, and it looks like they want to retreat. Kautar trying to keep up with them. The hook doesn't quite connect for Edward. Well, look at Gambit. They're turning this one back around. They've got the Baron on. They know they're going to have some regen coming in. Airwax is actually trying to sneak around I thought he was going to go for the blue there, which he would have certainly lost. There's another hook. I'm not sure why he's there, though. That's the problem that I have. Why is Unlimited hanging around for that one? They lose the tower. Genja now dominating at 6-0-2.
The rest of the team was not in front, and Unlimited just eats a death sentence and is taken out. Gambit have not stopped the pressure. They've got so many auto-attackers that they've shredded 50% of the HP away from the inhibitor turret. At 27 minutes on the clock, with the gold lead or the gold items that Gambit have accrued, they are no longer the weaker team on the map. And because Copenhagen Wolves have invested so much in this comp into protecting and keeping Woolites alive, the rest of the front line needs to stay up. They're not doing it, and the team is weaker for it in those team fights.
I think there we saw the problem of having that frozen heart when you've got no real HP behind it either. I mean, the Giant's belt is picked up after the fact there. Youngbuck dove in thinking, okay, they're going to be reduced here. Reduced damage for all is a great thing, but he dies far too quickly as the main tank in that fight.
And keep in mind, you need not only a ton of HP, a ton of armor, and you also need a ton of magic resist. Because of all of the mixed damage that Kale, Jax, and Corki are putting out. Every single one of them has a pretty good amount of both magic and physical, and it's just making life very difficult for the Copenhagen Wolves. I also have to give props to Genja. While he's played on the outskirts of risky positioning, he's not given up a death yet. He's always landed those last hits when he needs to, and the rest of the Gambit team are picking their team fights very, very effectively. They've always come out a net gain ahead whenever they've initiated combat scenarios.
So what's next here for Gambit? They've lost that Baron buff now. So that's not going to be too far away from coming up. We see 45 seconds until the next Dragon of the game is due. And of course that gold lead has, since that that Baron and the subsequent tower kills and kills overall, has swung over back towards Gambit side. Up 5-2 in turrets overall. And up across the map, really. We see a needlessly large rob blasting one for Nick, so he's going to have himself that Rabadons here soon. And that's when the Hurricane really starts to pain you.
Yeah, and I don't see Copenhagen Wolves being able to siege. Oh, that's a great lantern on Airwax.
Oh, is Genja actually going to go too deep on this one, though? Woolite and Count out of there. Unlimited coming in. There's another hook, this time onto Airwax. Wild Growth comes down. Strangle Thorns as well. Have they got enough this time around? They've left Darian completely alone at the back. Diamond was trying to get onto him, and this time Youngbuck doing a great job of keeping them all away. And the Copenhagen Wolves turning this one around. They've got two already. Can they get any more? Gambit able to back off. Genja have just backed away completely there and gone back to the Wolves.
The strength of the Strangle Thorns holding Gambit in place, and because Unlimited was able to protect Woolite, it means he can put the damage down. That Rat-a-tat-tat did a good job to buy time and damage until Youngbuck zoned the rest of Gambit away. It is a good fight for Copenhagen Wolves because they get the tower as well as the dragon. But the two things to note is how much Gambit are split up. Youngbuck completely zones away Genja. He slices and dices through everybody, and Darian and Diamond are not able to take Woolite out. So Youngbuck is sitting amongst 3 members of Gambit, and it just allows the rest of the team to clean the fight up afterwards. And it's given Copenhagen Wolves a small gold lead, but you still feel like they need to catch Gambit out of position a few more times, just like that, if they want to get more control of the reins of this game.
Building that gold lead back. We actually saw a second Frozen Heart now picked up, this time for Airwax. See how that really lends to these fights with 45 seconds. Not until the Dragon this time, but until the Baron comes in. And that is going to be a big thing in this game. Not something that the Copenhagen Wolves can afford to be giving up for free.
No, they can't. And I do want to say that this is the first Kale in Europe 4.10 that we've seen go on the Hurricane build first. The 2 Kales that we've seen yesterday did go for the burst build, Deathcap into Lichbane, etc. So Nick's still sitting with a consistent sort of shred, multiple attacks. And also, Darren still no Blade of the Ruined King. When you see Gambit, they're looking for an engage. They found the Wolves.
We see Airwax there getting the Wild Growth on him, but again, Darian goes down to half HP before he hits it up as if caught Genja at the back as well. There's the shutdown for Woolite. Edward going to be forced out by Youngbuck, and the Copenhagen Wolves take out the AD carry. Can they get any more? Gambit are backing away up the top of the river. I think the Wolves are going to go for towers.
That's the second fight in a row where Gambit have chased the Wolves and they've been shut down by unlimited zoning. And in the time frame that Stranglethorns is channeling, the Wolves win the team fight. They get a kill onto the most fed member of Gambit, zone away the rest, and open up the inhibitor. With 15 seconds on the clock, they might be brave enough to stick around for the inhibitor itself. In fact, it's not brave because they've got it uncontested.
Yeah, I was going to say there's no one really there to stop him at this point. Gambit a little slow to get back out of the base, and now the Copenhagen Wolves can turn around and try and draw out Gambit towards the Baron. Diamond going very close into the back line there of the Copenhagen Wolves. Good disengage though from the Wolves. They're going to run away, but Gambit might feel comfortable enough here to think about going towards Baron. In fact, they're already doing some good damage here and chasing them away completely.
Yeah, Kenji's coming up from the back line as well. We'll see how quickly he can get himself into this team fight. Copenhagen Wolves have stacked themselves up a lot of armor, a lot of hit points on both Airwax and Youngbuck, and this is helping them out. A crucial death sentence misses from Edward, but here comes Gambit for the third time in a row.
Trying to get in this time though, not being able to do it. Coulthard is in a precarious position as well because he's not got much mana left. If a fight should actually go down here, we'll have enough just to get his wild growth off basically and help get a knock-up or maybe even save someone's life. What are Gambit going to do now? They want this blue buff, take that away from Coulthard. Fits into the fact that he's got no mana.
I also feel like if Unlimited doesn't have his ultimate, then Copenhagen Wolves should be backing away and shouldn't be looking to take the fight. What I do think is great for them, because Youngbuck has got himself a massive amount of armor with the Frozen Heart and the Randuin's almost completed, he is in possible kill threat range of Genja. Genja's got no additional, not a massive amount of additional critical hit chance from that Trinity Force to back up the Infinity Edge, and he also has no additional armor penetration outside of that Gatling gun. So Youngbuck should be able to stand toe-to-toe with him for a while, and if Youngbuck gets a good stun with Blade of the Ruined King, may even be able to out 1v1 him. We will be finding out probably sooner than later because Gambit are playing the bait game. There are minions on the bottom wave pushing up for the Wolves, and the Wolves have just caught Genja.
Oh, Genja, quick Valkyrie away, but he's lost half of his health, and that may just be enough here to signal an attack for the Copenhagen Wolves. They push those super minions down the middle lane. Genja's trying to get some HP back from the Wolves. That'll be the creep camp rather than the team, and the Wolves get themselves in prime position now to bring Gambit back over. We see the heal coming out from Nick. They need to get him healed up. Actually, forget that. It looks like Airwax is recalling. Unlimited is recalling as well, so the Wolves don't want this one. Gambit themselves seem to have backed off far enough to indicate that they're not interested just yet in that Baron.
Playing that one a little safer are the Wolves. Now, they've done a very, very good job at dealing with Gambit when Gambit are initiating onto them. And what the Wolves have done effectively as this game has progressed is they've translated those victorious turnaround fights into objectives. But until Gambit have made plays, Copenhagen Wolves have not been able to create situations for themselves. Their composition can flank and can surprise with Airwax and Twitch, but they haven't had the greatest of success doing that. So I think for the Wolves, they are looking to continue this sort of reactive play style in areas where they're comfortable to have team fights. Because of the fact that every time Woolite has tried to pop out and kill Genja, it actually hasn't worked out in his favor for the last 15 or so minutes. We'll see if this trend continues. He's just picked himself up another BF sword. And the vision game around Baron has been an interesting one because neither team has really tried to play the bait game. Neither team's played patient and try to force their opponents to come and face check it.
I think that comes down to a lack of security really in this game for Gambit after losing those couple of team fights. Look at this, there's a flank from Airwax. This is where he could really excel, especially if Gambit get themselves grouped up together. They know that Diamond is off to the side. Airwax is now behind enemy lines. They're going to go for this one. He gets the ulti up onto two. Who's the focus going to be? Looks like they're trying to get back to Genja with Youngbuck, who gets pulled in there. But Nick being destroyed by Woolite. Going to use a last second intervention. Diamond will go up in the air, but he's going to pay with his life. It's only a single kill, but loads of them, actually there's two kills. Edward went down, of course. The others really low, have to go back. The Wolves, they don't really know what they're doing. They run halfway in, halfway back. Inhib respawns. They'll take that and surely go Baron here.
That was an exquisite flank from Airwax, and that was the first successfully completed one this particular game. Airwax manages to come right behind, zone out both Genja and Edward. And again, I'm going to talk up Unlimited. His Stranglethorns forces everyone away. So because Nick and Darian can't jump to the backline of the Wolves, it just allows Woolite all of the space that he needs to get those rat-a-tat-tat auto attacks down. Copenhagen Wolves will secure Baron. Gambit will secure Dragon down in the bottom half of the map. They should be close-ish in total gold at this stage in the game. But again, Dragon's late game value has been decreased. And you can see Copenhagen Wolves accelerating further ahead. It's 4,000 gold. But they have just had better team fights multiple times in a row, thanks to the power of the Wild Growth and the Stranglethorns. Gambit need to find better picks and better ways into the back line, because every time Gambit have tried, they've been completely thwarted by Unlimited. They're picking the wrong times to team fight.
We saw Darian before that fight actually kicking off, getting himself a Warmox armor. Is that a case of, I need magic resist and I need armor, and I can't actually afford either of them right now, so Warmox it is?
I definitely think so. It is a very efficient stat. It synergizes just with, you know, it amplifies the armor and MR that he gets from his ultimate by making it more effective. The only problem is there are 2 Blades of the Ruined King on the opposing side. So you stack up that HP, and with the new blade, if your target has 937 HP or more, each auto attack from a Blade of the Ruined King, thanks to the percentage damage, will deal equal damage to an old Bloodthirster. Darian currently has 3,489, so
just a little
he's
bit
going to take a ton of damage every time Woolite opens up on him, and Woolite's still growing. He's going to deal more damage than Genja in this late stage of the game, and Gambit need to shut him down if they want to win team fights.
Wolves making a move towards that bottom lane. Actually, they've caught out Youngbuck here in no man's land. Slice and dice won't be enough to save him. May have opened up this bottom lane though. Gambit not far enough up to be thinking about any kind of base race here. They may try and head them off, but that's a Baron up Wolves team. I don't think they'll bother. Just trying to stop them going towards or going any further into the base and for that inhibitor turret.
45 seconds on the clock. It should allow Gambit to at least push out the wave where the super minions are pushing down. Keep in mind that Copenhagen Wolves have got pretty good wave play in Lulu with that Death Cap and Void Staff, so she should be able to hold off the tower. In addition, Gambit don't really want to tower dive onto a Zyra. Hell, they haven't been able to fight into Zyra for the last 10 minutes, so they've got to be very careful. Wolves have got 15 seconds to defend before Youngbuck is up and available. Gambit are looking to siege. The only thing that can really cause them a lot of trouble is a strong Stranglethorns or Agony's Embrace. You see, I think this is the smart decision from Gambit.
Yeah, Airwax was already behind them. And splitting up from it nicely, but that's actually going to leave Edward and Genja alone. And look at this, Kauthard is going to be coming in there quickly. Good hook onto Kauthard. Genja will be allowed to get off towards the side, and the rest of the team coming around from this one. Woolite has picked up Genja now. Can they get any more from it? Darian split between Kauthard and Unlimited, but Diamond the focus for the Copenhagen Wolves. He goes up in the air. Woolite will finish him off for the triple kill here with Twitch. Darian is too low to do anything. The Wolves going to try and push it home, and they've even got Kauthard trying to chase him down. He gets out.
So Darian survives, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Gambit completely splits up while retreating. They've been flanked before. They're dealing with stealth champions of Evelynn and Twitch, and they give themselves the opportunity to be flanked. Copenhagen Wolves punish Gambit, and they're going to take this Nexus down. They've picked themselves up a win.
Brilliant game from the Copenhagen Wolves. Definitely got enough here to finish this one off and taking down Gambit. Only their 3rd win of the season here in the summer split. And a much-needed win as well. A sigh of relief, no doubt, for the Copenhagen Wolves.
Gambit just could not break through the Wolves' backline. Every single team fight Gambit initiated was interrupted by Kauthard and by Unlimited, and Gambit just couldn't make damage stick to the targets they wanted to. Woolite ends that game 7-2-9 after you felt like you had little to no presence in the laning phase. Just comes back in the mid game so solidly, and I think Gambit's team fights really need a lot of work that game.
Howl of the Wolves, not a sound that we've become accustomed to hearing here in the summer split. Just the 3rd win that they've picked up. Still a long road ahead of them, there's no doubt about that one, but definitely a confidence booster to beat a team like Gambit, who themselves not exactly in the finest form, still trying to rediscover themselves with a new mid laner.
And the problem there was just calling and focus. Because one thing that you found is every time Gambit did initiate a team fight, it was into Zyra with her ultimate available. One of the key things to do against champions like Zyra, like Ziggs, is try to bait out those ultimates, get them down, and then abuse the window of opportunity while it's on cooldown. And it just never happened. You always seen, you know, Nick and Darren jumping in, instantly getting knocked up, and then on the retreat, being run down and chased down by the Evelynn and Lulu. And I think it looked hairy in the 20 to 30 minute mark for Wolves. But as soon as they won like 1 or 2 team fights, they were able to shut the game out.
One thing as well that I don't understand about that scenario is why don't you put a pink ward behind you as you start to push up the lanes? Because that's going to spot the Evelynn early enough, and you're going to be able to move away before they can collapse right in there on top of you. If you have to sell your Doran's items 40 minutes into the game to buy some pink wards, then you should do.
It's something that Crepper goes out of his way to rant about because it is so important. And when you've lost a team fight because Evelynn has flanked you from behind on your half of the map, don't split up into groups of 2 and 3 while you're leaving the enemy inhibitor turret. You've been flanked before. If you don't have vision on Evelynn, she's looking to flank you. Just assume that. Work under that operation. And if you stick together in a 5v4 situation, the realistic chances of them jumping are much, much lower.
Well, the Wolves finally picking up another win here, going 3-11 in the table. But for now, we're going to check in with Shox, who's on stage with the Copenhagen Wolves' Coutard.
Thank you very much, Joe. First off, congratulations on a well-deserved and needed victory, I believe, for the Copenhagen Wolves coming in here. Talk to me about the end of that game and maybe what, after the heartbreaking loss versus Alliance last week, what did you take from that and apply it to your decision-making in another close game here?
Well, we tried to figure out who was stronger, we or them, and we noticed that, well, if we get the positional advantage, we can just destroy them in team fights. So we tried to get the Eve to come from behind, and the Renekton can double dash through to get to them. And by using this, we could set up really good fights.
And they kept going in on you guys at the end of the game. Were you aware that you guys were actually ahead and you could go back in? Were you kind of baiting them and waiting for the right moment?
Yes and no. We were actually surprised with how aggressive they were playing, but it allowed us to easily set up the flanks especially. But overall, I think they wanted to get a snipe on someone of us, thereby winning the game. Because if we get to set up the fights, we get to determine the pace, and we would win.
All right, then talk to me for the patch 4.10 for the Copenhagen Wolves. You obviously also didn't have that much time to prepare for it, but what works for you in this patch?
Well, the meta is slightly changing again. The top lane picks are changing, and I think itemizations are changing slightly. So we still have some adaptation to do, but it looks good so far.
Yeah, it does look good with this victory, and it was a very crucial victory for you guys, still in last place, though. So I got to ask you, what's the general thoughts in here in the team to step up? Is it more the fear that's in your head now about relegation, or is that something you just don't think about at all?
Well, our goal has been to get into the playoffs at least. I mean, we still want to do that, and we are still able to do that. We just need to keep winning. We need to step up our games. We keep doing mistakes. Me especially, this game was really weak from my part, especially laning phase and the early roaming. But I believe if we play like we did against Alliance in London, we could definitely win against almost every team.
Self-criticism is a great first step. Thank you very much and congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
All right, it's time to wrap things up, so let's send it over to the desk to Joe and Trevor.
Thank you very much, Shox. And as we close out week 6, let's have a look at the table and see where our teams have landed after a crazy week 6 of matches. Alliance, of course, continues to be untouchable with another perfect week, and their 5-game winning streak now keep them in first place at 12 wins and 2 losses. SK Gaming is still in second, although they're now 3 games off the pace at 9 and 5.
Yeah, with the exception of Alliance winning today, every other game was considered somewhat of an upset. Millennium continue their run in third place, where they have 8 wins and 6 losses, having taken down SK today. Then we have Fnatic and the Super Hard crew now tied for 4th at 7 and 7.
And here are the 5 players who've impressed us the most in their positions this week. Starting off in the top lane with Millennium's Kevin. He played a 3-0-9 Aatrox against SK Gaming today. Looked amazing.
Yeah, one of the things that was most impressive was just how effectively he used his teleports and his dives. It helped Millennium pick up that win, and it's definitely playing into that pick style of gameplay that his team is trending towards.
And in the jungle, Alliance has shook someone who's becoming a regular in our OP players at the end of the week. He was involved once again in 15 of the 26 kills over the 2 games for Alliance this week.
Yeah, it is interesting to see. It's taken him 6 full months to get to this level. He was the most anticipated jungler and has stepped up, able to make good plays Arguably, though, it's the rest of the team that are really doing such a great job in helping Alliance win.
And you might be right about that because we have Froggen in the mid lane as well from Alliance. He had a 10 KDA in the 2 wins this week after playing an Orianna that had better stats today than in 3 games from the Spring Split and the Twisted Fate.
Yeah, and of course that Orianna CS like a monster. 606, he hit 300 CS at 23 minutes and 23 seconds. He also picked up that epic triple kill down in the bottom lane. I think Froggen is even surpassing his Season 2 form in this split.
And we're keeping up the trend of Alliance because our AD carry this week is Tabs. 9 kills he's taken, 73% kill participation in the 2 wins. Played in the with the Caitlyn and the Lucian and just looking so on form.
So the best thing about Tabs is how he's adapted to the itemization. The Caitlyn that he played on 4.10, he went IE into Static Shiv and destroyed with it. The next day, he plays Lucian into Caitlyn, goes Ghost Blade as well as Blade of the Ruined King, once again taking down Caitlyn. He's got the 2nd most kills as an AD carry for the week, and he was, again, a very big factor in Alliance's victories.
And in the support position, a return to Thresh Prince form for Edward this week. 26 assists he's managed to pick up over the course of the week.
Yeah, his Thresh yesterday was really impressive, and the return of Big Boss Eddie on the Thresh is definitely something everybody else needs to be aware of. In the laning phase, this is the best we've seen Edwin and Genja in terms of syncing up and being an aggressive, scary bottom lane since his return to Gambit at the beginning of the year. Problem is, for the team, the rest of the lanes are not as scary right now.
And of those players, we've selected Tabs as our MVP for the week. As I said before, such an incredible week he's had with a 19 KDA with Caitlyn and Lucian. We also have a video clip of Tabs getting a kill on Cottonex in the mid lane after a dragon fight.
Yeah, this particular kill that I'm almost sure happens, he flashes and gets that headshot proc if memory serves. This was our first real taste of the terrifying Caitlyn that Tabs could put together. And earlier today, he was talking about those 3 hairs on his neck beard that he needs to shave off and demonstrating his mastery of Lucian with the new itemization and the new playstyle. I'm excited to see how he continues to play because of how drastically different this role is in the patch.
Well, really looking like he's having fun, and that's one of the more important things here in being successful, I think, as well. And guys, don't forget, week 6 of the North American LCS starts tomorrow with a matchup between Team Solo Mid and Counter Logic Gaming, followed by Complexity versus Cloud9.
Then Evil Geniuses will go up against Team Curse, and Team Dignitas will face LMQ. Those matches start on Saturday at 9 PM Central European Summer Time, which is 12 noon Pacific.
And the European LCS broadcast will be back next Tuesday, note the date, July the 1st, with our 2nd super week of the split, and we'll begin things with SK Gaming versus Gambit. The 16 games that week will kick off at 5 PM Central European Summer Time, which is 8 AM Pacific. And of course, we look forward to seeing you guys then. But up next, we're going to send you over to Freak and Zyrene with the European Challenger Series Round of 10 play-ins.
Actually, I need to shower. I mean, I need to shave. I'm getting a neck beard, dude.
How are you getting a neck beard? You don't even have any beard.
No, look, there's like...
Damn. Oh my god, Jeff. No, that's pretty much nothing. There's just like 3 hairs sticking out.
Exactly, I need to shave those 3 hairs.
Having to use everything he can to escape this one. He's going to get stun locked up there. The ultimate from Wicked going to catch him low. Is it quite enough? One more hit. Froggen comes in. He's going to secure the kill. Vander's on there now. Vander's taking low. Froggen gets on towards him. Tabs picks himself a kill. They're going to ace the knockout right here, right now.
Hey Freddy, can you hear me higher now?
What?
Am I loud or no?
What?
Oh, Freddy said something, put it in the show, guys.
Where is Destiny going to go? Coop comes out the side, catches on towards Vensko. Candy Vander though, off the side, wield the wild growth, doing the damage. Kicks in, straight away, exploding!
Peter being toxic again.
It's a joke.
Again.
Blame is lame, enjoy the game.
So far, Fnatic have done a good job of that. The knock-up, Selfie dives in. Good wild growth for the super hot crew. Gonna focus on Sir Reckless. Cyanide's the next one down. Peke off to the side. Can only gold card 1 man.
Would like to sing. Sing for me.
Genja will be allowed to get up towards the side, and the rest of the team coming around from this one. Woolite has picked up Genja now. Can they get any more from it? Darian split between Countdown and Unlimited, but Diamond the focus for the Copenhagen Wolves. He goes up in the air. Woolite will finish it.